How's everybody doing? Good, 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 good. It's a pretty night. We should have done this outside, but it's good to be here. President Hagan, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, thank you for inviting me to be part of the 2016 Dolores Huerta graduation ceremony at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Congratulations, graduates. There's a lot of you, and that's exciting. We're going to be about 1.1 million college graduates behind where we need to be in California. So we're going to need each and every one of you and more in the workforce in the next couple of years. And I just want to say congratulations to all of the graduates. And it takes a lot of courage to begin your new lives on Friday the 13th. But obviously you do have a lot of courage. I'm honored to share this important occasion with you and your family, your friends, and your Mylar balloons, a lot of them. And it's great to see all of the family and friends and faculty who are gathered here today. Today is a day that we celebrate everyone here. We celebrate all of those who provided support to you. We celebrate you for your hard work. We celebrate the administration, the faculty, everyone who contributed to us being here today. The faculty, obviously, they shared their knowledge and their gift for teaching with you. The families who probably didn't get to spend as much time with you as they would have wanted over the past couple of years, and your friends as well, who, while you were studying, had to sort of sacrifice by not spending all that time with you. I understand that there are likely a lot of graduates here, like me, who did it on their own, to an extent on their own, who had to work full-time or part-time. I worked full-time when I was in school. So that's to your credit, that you were able to do this without outside support. And you should be proud of what a big accomplishment that is. I also know that a lot of you are the first in your families to graduate from college. And there's a special pride in that. There is a special pride in that for you, for your family, and for our communities. There are a couple of things about the Dolores Huerta graduation celebration that I think are just really great and really, really special. One is that it's bilingual, so that everyone here gets to be a part of it. And that there's an opportunity for all of the graduates to say a few words about someone that's important to them. And I think that's a very special and unique part of this ceremony as well. When I was sworn in as Speaker of the Assembly on March 7th, one of the things that was so special to me was the fact that I got to share it with my entire family. I have three sisters and three brother-in-laws. My wife has two brothers and three sisters, two brothers and a sister. And the whole family being there was so special to us. And I know that it's special for you to have your family here as well. And I know that this is why the fact that family is included is part of why this celebration is so important and has become such a popular tradition on this campus. I love how much pride and sacrifice is wrapped up in this day. And I know that on a day like today, a night like tonight, the last thing you probably want to do is to hear from a politician. I know that you're probably all eager to go out and spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, and celebrate. So I won't keep you long, but I do want to say that, back when I was in school, and I'm just a little older than you, just a little bit, I'm like 23. If somebody had told me that I was going to speak at a graduation, I would have thought they were crazy. If someone had told me that I was going to graduate, I would have told them that they were crazy. I was not a great student in school. At one point, my grade point average was 0.83. It was 0.83. And the polite phrase that we used in the 1980s was academic disqualification. I was academically disqualified. I was academically disqualified in high school, later academically disqualified from Cal State Fullerton. One of the great things about being Speaker of the Assembly is that you get to serve on the Cal State Board of Trustees. So it's great to serve on the board of a system that kicked me out. I'm like, I'm back. And I think what was kind of different about me and the kind of California that I grew up in was the fact that you could mess up a little bit more. We had infinite opportunities and sort of infinite possibilities back in the 1980s. When I was 19, 20 years old, I was working in factories and warehouses in northern Orange County. And I didn't really think that there was a path for me beyond those types of jobs. But I would get off the graveyard shift after unloading trucks all night. And the bus, you know when you're on a bus, when it stops, the bus has a certain rhythm to it. And then if you're asleep, when the bus stops, you wake up because it kind of jolts you. And it would stop in front of a community college. The bus would stop in front of Cypress Community College. And I'd look at people who are your age, and they'd be getting out of the bus, and they'd look fresh, and they'd look bright. And I'd been unloading trucks all night, and I was 20 years old. And I thought, I want to do what they're doing. That looks like a better future than what I'm doing. And in 1988, 1989, tuition was $5 a semester. I know, you make me feel old when you react like that. But tuition was $5. So it was really easy for me to kind of get off the bus and to pay my, you want to know the whole story? So I had I saved $300. And I had $300 in a do you even know what a Velcro wallet is? Okay. They were big back in the day. So I had this green, shocking green, my wife wouldn't let me own this wallet today, it was just too ugly. But I had this green Velcro wallet, bright green, it had like a lightning bolt on the front of it. And I had $300 in it. And I had like $50 for tuition and registration. And I had $250 that I'd saved for books. It's a long time ago. And I paid my registration fees, and then between registration and the bookstore, my wallet got stolen. So I went, this is before cell phones, right? So I went to the campus security, and I said, hey, I lost a wallet, green, Velcro. They said, describe the contents. I said, there's $250 in it, and there's a Carl's Jr. coupon in it. And they said, okay. They said, come back at the end of the day, and we'll see if somebody's returned your wallet. I said, okay. So we don't have cell phones back in 1989, right? Or at least I didn't have one. So I had to walk around the campus all day long. And at the end of the day, I went back to the campus security, and I said, hey, did you find my wallet? And they said, green Velcro with the lightning bolt? I said, yeah. I said, we found it. And I said, do you have ID so you can identify it? And I said, well, I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a campus ID, right? I had nothing. I said, well, no, the only thing in it is $250 and a Carl's Jr. coupon. And they said, well, it has a Carl's Jr. coupon, but there's not $250, which wasn't very surprising. And I made a really bad choice. I hated the wallet, so I told the security guard, I said, hey, keep the wallet, that's yours. Just give me the Carl's Jr. coupon, which was really stupid because it was like you had to buy like a burger to get a free Coke. That was the basis of the coupon. Because I didn't have any money, I couldn't buy the burger anyway, so it didn't make any sense. So sometimes people tell stories. They say, I started college without a dollar in my wallet. I always say I started college without a wallet. I just had a worthless Carl's Jr. coupon. But it was a point in California history where you could make those mistakes, and you could start and pay $5, $50 a semester, and make mistakes and get back on your feet and move forward. When I don't even want you guys reacted to the community college tuition. I don't even want to tell you what I paid when I transferred to Cal State Fullerton, but I will. $283 per semester. My first semester. So again, I could work full time, pay for my books, get through school, got my BA degree, went to UC Riverside, got my PhD. I ended up going to Boston University, postdoctoral program, spent about 12 years in school. I owed about $5,000 when I was done. $5,000 after about 12 years in school. I'm sure all of you owe more than $5,000 now. So it was a very different California. It was a very different experience. It was a California where you could afford to make mistakes and you could get back on your feet again. And today we all know that's a very different reality. And when I decided to run for the state legislature a few years ago, it was with that sort of California in mind. It was an effort to bring back that California, an effort to allow people to be able to explore and to be able to do things that I had the opportunity to do. There are a lot of you here today, and that's wonderful. But we all know there's a lot of people who are left out here today, who aren't here because they knew they couldn't afford the tuition, because they went to high schools that didn't provide them, or community colleges that didn't provide them with the opportunities to be here, because they grew up in families where they knew that they never knew the possibilities that you've discovered. And for me, that's what civic engagement is about. That's what my job is about in terms of serving in the state legislature. And those are the types of things that I want to work on. But back then, I did it with help from California. I did it from help from my family. I did it with help from California in general. I did it with the help of a state that invested in me and a state that invested in millions more like me. My wife, Annie, is here tonight. We used to go on cool dates on Friday nights. Now I bring her to graduations. Annie grew up in a family. She worked in the fields. She picked fruit in the fields outside of Lodi and Sacramento. And she did a lot of the hard work that we know, that we're familiar with. And she benefited from a California that the type of California that I benefited from, whether it was public housing or low-income home loan programs or food stamps or free meal programs or diversity programs or affirmative action programs. That's the California that we benefited from. That's the California that Annie and I benefited from. And that's the California that I'm working hard every single day to help make sure that the next generation of students, that hopefully when I get invited back here in 5 or 10 years, that next generation of California students, that next generation of Cal State Dominguez graduates has those opportunities that I had. So I'm committed to ensuring that those programs remain vital and they remain available so that other Californians can use them. But I need your help. I really do need your help, because you've been students for a long time. You're not students anymore. You're leaders now. You're all leaders in your community. And I'm going to need your knowledge. I'm going to need your experience. I'm going to need the skills that you learned here at this fine university. I'm going to need the skills that you learned here in order to help transform your community, to help transform this state, to help to transform this planet. This is a very vital moment for the history of not only our state, but for our entire planet. And quite frankly, I'll be very honest with you, the responsibility for Latino students, the responsibility for students of color is actually greater than it is for other students. Because not only do you have to be concerned with your own success and your own advancement, but you also have to be concerned with the success and the advancement of those who come after you. And that's a very important part of leadership. Right now, Latinos are the plurality of the population in California. In your lifetimes, Latinos will reach 50% of the state's population. If Latinos represent more than 50% of the state's population, then we can't continue on a trajectory where 32% of Latino youth do not graduate from high school, and only 14% have a bachelor's degree. In the coming years, as I said, California is expected to fall about 1.1 million college graduates short of our demand. We're going to have 1.1 million fewer graduates than we're going to need, minus you guys, of course. But the point is, even having educated workers coming here from someplace else will not fill that gap. We need to have homegrown students filling those gaps. So both justice and economics demands that the dream of higher education has to become more of a reality for Latinos. As I hope each of you goes out and follows your own path, you always have to keep an eye open for others and what you can do for others. I want you to make sure that you encourage others. I want you to make sure you mentor others. And I want you to make sure that you hold politicians accountable and that you hold their feet to the fire so college can be more affordable and that there's more financial aid. There's It's also very important. I'm going to do a commercial now. You ready for the commercial? Please register to vote. I don't need to tell you why. Let's just leave it at that. Please register to vote, particularly in this year. It's important that you register to vote and that you have that your voice is heard. That your voice is heard. I was working on a campaign in Fresno about a month and a half ago, and I was speaking. I was giving a speech, and when you're speaking, you always want everybody to listen to you because you think what you have to say is the most important thing in the world. And I was giving this speech, and I saw some people in the back of the room weren't listening, and then other people weren't listening, and the crowd of people who weren't listening was getting bigger and bigger, and they were all facing the back. They were turned around facing the back, and I thought, how rude, they're not listening to me, and I'm being so profound. And I looked in the back, and I saw this short woman approaching and walking toward me, and it was Dolores Huerta. And I thought, you know what? Who cares about me, right? You shouldn't be listening to me. And what was special about that day and what was special about when I was sworn in as speaker on March 7th, Dolores sat just across the aisle from Annie and I, was the fact that the young people in our community, they get it. They understand her sacrifice, and they understand the sacrifices of she and other folks in the civil rights movement. You all understand that we all stand on their shoulders, and we're here because of them, and we're here because of their sacrifices. And unless you vote, it's impossible to translate those sacrifices into anything that's really meaningful and that's really lasting. I'm going to say one more thing. It's not in my talking points. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say this, but I think there's one more thing that I want to remind you all to do, and that's to listen to yourself, to kind of listen to your hearts. I'm 40 whatever, you know. I'm an old guy. I don't live in your life. I don't walk in your shoes. I don't live your lives. Deep in your hearts, you know what you want to do. You know the right thing to do. The future really is in your hands. I'm so impressed with the ability and the skills of this generation. When I graduated from college, I wanted to make a big impact on the world. But quite honestly, I didn't have a lot of skills. I had a Che Guevara poster, and I read a bunch of books on philosophy. But I'm really impressed by the extent to which this generation has spent their time investing in skills that are transferable and relatable and can really have a tremendous impact on our community. So I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you to use those skills. But just as important as any of that, I know all of you are driven, all of you are inspired, all of you are goal-oriented. Don't forget that the other things that are meaningful to you now, falling in love, I'm not saying that just because my wife Annie is here, but falling in love and traveling and reading and spending time with your family and your friends, that is just as important when you're 30 and you're 40 and you're 48 as it is when you're 21 and 22 and 23. And I think sometimes goal-oriented people forget that. I think sometimes goal-oriented people focus so much on getting to the next plateau and getting to the next level that they forget how important those things were to them that were important to them when they were 22 and 23. So, with that in mind, I'm going to take my wife to dinner now. Thank you. Congratulations.